Hello friends and welcome back to your own channel, that is We Are in Techno World. So in today's video I'm just going to tell you the Regula Falsi method, how to solve the problem using Regula Falsi method. So for that purpose I'm just having the equation, that is x cube minus 3x plus 1, right? But in this equation we are not having any kind of intervals, right? So to finding out the intervals, what we are doing, we are just putting the values from like 1. Right, 1 onwards, I'm just putting the values into the equation, that is f of 1. Okay, so what I can get, 1 cube means 1, minus 3 into 1, it would be minus 3 plus 1. So what I am getting, I am getting that is negative 1. Okay, now we just put the another value, that is 2. So it would be 2 cube means 8, minus 3 into 2, it would be 6 plus 1. So I'll get positive 3. Okay, so like for any kind of real root, in case of CVNST, we could say that a root always lies between a negative or a positive number, right? So here we are getting one negative or a positive number. Okay, so that means we could consider these two intervals for this equation for finding out any kind of approximate root, right? So for that purpose, what I'm doing, I'm just putting these values as my intervals, right? So this is my lower bound and the another one is my upper bound. The another one is my upper bound. Okay, so now for the, like, if you just take the formula of Regula Falsi, that is a into a and b is what? A and b are the intervals, and f of a and f of v is what? Like, by putting the value of a into the given equation, we could find out the values of f of a and f of v, right? So that means 4 values we just need to solving out this formula. Okay, so what I'm doing, like for iteration number 1, I'm having the values, that is a equals to 1 and b equals to 2. F of a I have to find out and f of b I have to find out, right? So f of a means, like, you just put this value of a into the equation. So just put it. It would be it is already find out, that is f of 1. F of 1 was minus 1. Okay, and f of v is already been like solved out. So it was positive 3, right? So now what you do for iteration number 1, for finding out the iteration number 1, you just put all these 4 values into the formula, right? So it would be a into f of v. That means x1 equals to a into f of v means positive 3 minus b into f of a means minus 1 divided by f of v minus f of a means minus minus, it would be plus. Okay, so what I'm getting, I'm getting 4 upon sorry, if we just solved out, so what we would get, we would get 5 upon 4. What we would get, we would get 5 upon 4. That means, like, by solving out, we would get 1.25. Okay, so this is what, this is the value which we are getting by putting it into the formula. Okay, but now what we have to do, like, for the comparison purpose, for example, in the numerical it is given that find out the approximate root using a Regula Falsi method up to 3 decimal places, right? So for that purpose, what we have to do, we have to put this value, that is 1.25, into the original equation, right? So what we would get, so what you do, you just put it into the like into the equation, that is f of x1, right? Means f of 1.25. So it would be 1.25 cube minus 2 into 1.25 plus 1, right? And you just try to solve out, what we would get, just try to solve out, we would get minus 0.6 0.7968, right? So this is one negative value which we are getting, right? This is one negative value. So in case of CBNST, as I have told you before, that if we are getting one negative value by putting it into the main equation, right? If there is one negative value, then we would change the lower bound. Okay, means in case of the interval, in case of two intervals, we are having one lower bound and the other one is upper bound. Okay, so means हमारा यहाँ पर lower bound change हो जाएगा, means first interval change हो जाएगा. Why? Because the value which we are getting is in negative. That is why. That means in the next iteration, this one would be changed into 1.25, right? Means this lower bound would not change with this value. It would change by the value which we just get in case of x1. Okay, so that means because the value is in negative, so that is why this lower bound would be changed with this 1.25. Okay, and the upper bound would remain same. Okay, the upper bound would remain same. That means the lower bound is, for the next iteration, it is 1.25 and the upper bound is 2. Now we have to find out the real root between these two intervals, right? So right now we are around here. In the first iteration, the interval were between 1 to 2. Now in the next iteration, we have to find out the interval between 1.25 and 2. Okay, so what you do? Now iteration number 2. In case of iteration number 2, what would be done? Iteration number 2, the value of A is 1.25. The value of B is 2, and the value of f of A means f of 1.25 was minus 0.7968, and the value of f of B means f of 2. So the value of f of 2 was positive 3. Okay, so these four values we are just having. So now put it into the formula. So x2 would be equals to A into f of V. A into f of B. Okay, minus B into f of A. So what was f of A? Minus 0.7968. Okay, divided by f of B minus f of A. So f of B minus f of A. Okay, so you just try to solve out what we would get. Just try to solve it out. We would get 1.4073. Right? What we would get? We would get 1.4073. Right? If you just solve it out, then we would get 1.4073. Okay? So now what we have to do? As in the previous iteration, I have just told you that as soon as we would solve out the formula, then we have to put this value into the main equation. Okay? Why so? So that we could do comparison whether the lower bound would be changed or the upper bound would be changed. Right? And we could reach to a real root. Right? So what you do? We would put this value, that is 1.4073, into the equation. That is x cube minus 3x 1.4073 plus 1. Okay, now we just try to solve out what we would get. We would get minus 0.4347. Okay, we would get minus 0.4347. Okay, so again this is one negative answer, right? So in iteration number 1, it was a negative answer, right? In iteration number 1, we were having the negative answer, even though in case of iteration number 2, we are having the negative answer again. That means like for one more time, like this lower bound would be changed. Okay, so this time it would be changed with 1.4073, right? So this time this lower bound has been like shifted to 1.4073 and the upper bound is same. Means, so just like that, in case of like some more iteration, we could find out the real root. Okay, so just like that, you just try to find out some other iteration, and as soon as you would get like three similar decimal places in case of like the first iteration and the next iteration, then what you do, then obviously it would be like you could stop. Okay, you could stop, and after that just try to write one C program for it. Okay, so till then do practice of it. Thank you so much.